Freshman year, I did a show up at Plymouth State with a cast of mainly people that I didn't know. It was also during a particularly difficult point in my life where I struggled talking to even people that I knew. One day, I decided it was time to try to start talking to somebody, since it had been a while that I was in that cast, and I really hadn't talked to anybody at all. So I decided to talk to this boy who was around my age in my cast, and it was right before I went on stage, and I ended up having a panic attack. My breathing constricted, and I had trouble gaining control over my emotions. But I went on stage anyway, and within a minute of being immersed in another person's world, I was able to control my breathing and regulate my emotions once again, which if you had a panic attack, you know that that's a very difficult feat to accomplish. That was the moment I realized how musical theater affected my life, and I wanted to discover how it could affect other people's life in a similar way. My name is Hailey, and I hope by the end of this presentation, you are able to understand music's power towards all of society. By the end of this presentation, I want you to have answered one question. How does any aspect of musical theater affect your life? Not necessarily all aspects of musical theater together, but each one as a separate entity. There are three components to musical theater: music, dance, and drama. Each aspect has their own powerful effect on people, but all of them are equally as powerful to each other. Think of the last time you have used music to your advantage. Think of that time you were feeling so intensely sad, angry, or even happy that you had to blast that specific playlist to hype you up, or even to make everything feel like it was more in perspective. Music is a channel for emotions that we don't even necessarily realize we use in such a way. Music allows us to express ourselves and our emotions into something, and using it with others allows us to understand the connection and the emotional connection we have to each other. When I think of this concept, I think of my uncle. My uncle has Down syndrome and has lived with us since I was little. As many of us do, sometimes he experiences intense emotions, but he has a more difficult time controlling and expressing them. As I researched deeper into my project, I realized how we use music in order to help him. As long as I can remember, he has always loved the band The Eagles. As time went on, I started noticing how we used that as a tool to help him. At times that he is intensely frustrated or has trouble gaining control, we just put on Take It Easy or Desperado by The Eagles, and he soon calms and gains control in the span of a 2-minute song. Music allows us to regain control, and using it together will strengthen our understanding of each other and each other's emotions. For the main part of my project, I organized a recital inviting former BHS cast members, including alumni, to perform numbers from past BHS shows. Organizing an event such as this was one of the most difficult projects that I have done so far. I had the hardest time getting performers to commit, getting a pianist, and getting just an audience. Doing this project has helped me to better understand what my past and current music teachers go through and why they continue to do it. It's not always fun organizing events like this, but they do it because they believe music is too important not to share with the world. It took me another step closer to understanding the importance to music not only to myself, but to everyone involved in the process. Dance is the area of my physical project that I probably spent the least amount of time on, but through my research, I was able to gain a lot of knowledge on how important it actually is to society. Dance specifically is really important to early childhood education. Dance allows people an alternative form of communication. It allows people to express themselves in their own unique ways without necessarily using words. The term dance is not reserved to what we think of as dancing, or rather refers to expressive movement, which is a little more simplified than that. But dancing is essentially that, just expressing action or emotion through movement. Part of my community connection for this project was done at Bow Elementary School, volunteering in an art class that uses all expressive arts: art, music, drama, writing, and dance. One day I came in, the teacher introduced a concept called creative movement, which I had actually picked up from my research. Creative movement allows people to interpret a given action in their own individualized ways. The teacher asked students to pretend that they were chewing gum and to spit it out on the floor, and all of them had to pretend like they were walking through a sticky gum-covered floor. All of them were doing the same action, but they're in their own individualized ways with their own interpretation of the action. It allows students to understand how they can express themselves and their individuality through their actions and how they can interpret their peers' actions as well. Educating children in this way from a young age allows them to grow with an understanding of each other and the power that they can communicate just through physicality. The final aspect of musical theater I have not yet touched upon is drama. The other half of my community connection was done volunteering at Bow Memorial School's drama program. Through observation of the kids, I was able to tell the effect the drama had had on their day. They could come in having had the worst day and be very upset, but they leave drama with a completely different attitude, being happy, as they have channeled their energy into the art that they love and the art that they can express their emotions through. The effect of drama on non-actors was better discovered through my research. In my research, I came across a TED Talk given by a director of an interactive theater company called Coney, based in London. Interactive theater means that the audience is involved in the show as well as the cast. Coney specifically does shows that takes political concepts and turns them into a ridiculous concept, so that people don't necessarily understand what the intent of the show is. The audience works together to find the solution to this conflict of the show, and later discover that there's a tie back to a current or political issue that they may not have even realized. People leave the theater with a different political or world view on a current issue because they were able to separate from themselves and step into another person's shoes. Theater allows for empathy. It allows us the power to think of ourselves in someone else's world and allows society the ability to understand each other. The biggest takeaway I got from this project, which I hope you all take away as well, is how important musical theater is to society, as it allows us to understand all people, no matter condition or ability. Music allows us the power to communicate when words fail. Music allows us to show and channel emotion, dance allows us to communicate when words fail, and drama allows us to understand perspective through another person's eyes. I want you to think back to my initial question from the beginning. How does any one aspect of musical theater affect your life? I hope after this presentation, you are able to identify the answer to this question for yourself at this very moment. But if not, that you recognize how important musical theater is to society and the effect it can have on some people, and maybe even be able to identify a way you can interpret musical theater to make your life better or somebody else's. Imagine if everyone chose to use this power to our advantage, a world where people understood each other. Find a way to better yourself and others using this convenient and natural tool. Help someone feel understood today. Use your tool for better, and if not, understand how important musical theater is and where your support should be going. Any questions?